picture dinosaurs, what comes to mind first? Probably, huge skeletons in a museum, right?
Right. Or maybe those massive roars from the movies.
Exactly. Thunder's footsteps shaking the ground. But today, we're shifting focus. We're looking at something much, much smaller.
But just as powerful in terms of what it tells us.
Yeah, tiny, fossilized dinosaur eggs. Now, you might think an egg's an egg. Simple thing, holds a baby dinosaur.
Uh-huh. Just a shell.
But what if these little things are more like, I don't know, ancient hard drives, packed with secrets about whole prehistoric worlds?
That's a great way to put it. They really are.
So our mission today is to pull out the really surprising stuff from all the latest science, how these egg discoveries are just completely flipping our understanding of prehistoric life.
Yeah, challenging those old ideas about ecosystems, social behavior, even the climate back then.
And we're digging into some fascinating sources, paleontological journals, news reports on finds from Utah, China, Patagonia. It's pretty exciting stuff.
It really is. Because these, seemingly small fragments, they give us such incredibly detailed insights.
Not just about one dinosaur type.
No, not at all. We can reconstruct entire ecosystems, figure out the climate they lived in. It forces us to question our basic assumptions, makes the picture way richer, more complex.
Okay, so let's dive into that. Our first stop, ancient Utah. We're talking, 100 million years ago? Early Cretaceous.
That's right. A very different world.
Think about the African savanna today. You've got lions, leopards, cheetahs, all living in the same place, right?
Mm-hmm. Finding their own niches.
Well, for a long time, the view of dinosaur ecosystems was simpler, almost like one big predator, one big herbivore per area.
The one of each kind idea, it was pretty pervasive.
But the stuff coming out of central Utah is just blowing that apart.
Completely. There's this quote from Dr. Hedge, one of the researchers, who said something like, historically, we've been guilty of thinking there's one kind of each dinosaur, but we're finding more and more that multiple species are likely coexisting.
And they're finding the proof right in the eggs.
Exactly. These discoveries from the Misantuchit member of the Cedar Mountain Formation, they paint this incredibly vibrant picture.
Okay, so tell us what they found. Diverse how?
Well, for starters, 3 different kinds of eggshells from oviraptorosaurs.
Those are the feathered, two-legged ones, kind of bird-like.
Yep, those guys. Plus, 2 kinds of eggshells from the ornithopod duck-billed dinosaurs.
Okay, so multiple types of plant eaters and these other guys.
But then there's the really wild one, a funky find, as they called it.
Oh, what's that?
Crocodilomorph eggshells. Ancient crocodile relatives, specifically Mycomorpholithus coringi.
Okay. And the funky part is...
It had only ever been found in Europe before.
Whoa. So across the ocean, basically.
Exactly. Suddenly, bam, it shows up in Cretaceous Utah. It massively expands their known range.
So what does all this mean, having all these different eggs together?
Well, first, it confirms that coexistence thing we talked about. Multiple related species sharing the same space, like those big cats. It wasn't just one dominant type.
Right. More complex dynamics.
And second, it tells us about the environment itself. Central Utah back then, it must have been pretty lush, watery, part of this big dynamic system near the edge of the Western Interior Seaway.
So like forests, rivers?
Dense forests, rivers, absolutely, supporting all this varied life. And crucially, this variety of eggs suggests lots of different microhabitats, little niches.
So they weren't all fighting for the exact same food or nesting spots.
Probably not. They could partition the resources, live side by side. It shows a much more bustling, complex world than we used to picture.
Okay, that's incredible detail. But how? How do scientists get all of that from, broken bits of shell? Is it luck? Or some really clever science?
Oh, it's definitely clever science. It's ingenious, really. These eggshells, they're not just fragments. Think of them as archives.
Archives. Like tiny libraries?
Sort of the organic stuff, like DNA, that doesn't last millions of years, maybe thousands. But the inorganic part, the calcite shell, that can lock in information for ages. Diet, climate, biology, it's all in there.
Okay, so break it down for us. What are the methods? How do they, read the archive?
Well, the first step is often just looking very, very closely. Morphological investigation.
Meaning?
Using powerful microscopes, scanning electron microscopes even, to see the crystal patterns, the shell thickness, the pores. tiny little holes in the shell.
And these details matter.
Hugely. The crystal structure can be unique to different groups. And the pores, they tell us about nesting.
How?
While different pore patterns suggest different nest types, maybe a shallow buried mound like the crocodilomorphs seem to prefer,
Okay.
or maybe sand-plastered rings like the oviraptorosaurs built, or even pits covered with leaves for the ornithopods. It gives us clues about how nesting behavior evolved.
Wow. And the pores tell us about the environment too, you said.
Yeah, absolutely. The size and density of pores can indicate things like humidity, maybe temperature, even how deep the eggs were buried. It helps bring that ancient world to life.
That's just from looking at the structure. What else?
Then we get into the chemistry. Stable isotope geochemistry, looking at carbon and oxygen isotopes locked in the shell.
Isotopes. Right. Different weights of the same element.
Exactly. And the ratios tell us amazing things, like diet, were they eating C3 plants or C4 plants?
Which tells you about the vegetation, the climate.
Precisely. Rainfall levels, aridity, water sources, evaporation rates. It's all recorded chemically. Scientists use this on, say, ostrich eggs today to track ancient human movements or climate shifts over thousands of years. It's a proven technique.
Okay, that's already pretty mind-blowing. But then you mentioned something even more advanced. Clumped isotopes. Delta 47.
Ah, yes, Delta 47. That's really cutting-edge stuff.
And it lets them measure body temperature directly from the eggshell. How does that even work?
It's based on how rare, heavy isotopes like carbon-13 and oxygen-18 bond together or clump in the crystal structure of the calcite shell. That clumping process is highly sensitive to the temperature at which the crystal formed. So, essentially, the eggshell preserves a record of the mother dinosaur's body temperature when she was forming the egg.
So it's like a tiny thermometer embedded in the fossil.
Exactly. And the results have been surprising. For instance, some oviraptorid eggs from Mongolia, they suggested a body temp around 32 degrees Celsius.
Which is cooler than a bird.
Yeah, cooler than most modern birds. But then a titanosaur egg from Argentina clocked in around 38 degrees Celsius. Much warmer.
So not uniformly warm-blooded or cold-blooded.
It suggests some dinosaurs had more variable thermoregulation. It really muddies those old, strict categories of endothermic or ectothermic. We're seeing a spectrum, and this is direct evidence, not just inference from bones. It's a huge leap.
That direct temperature reading is incredible. But these dating techniques you mentioned, they do more than just temperature, right? They connect to bigger climate patterns.
Absolutely. Which brings us to China, this amazing site, Qinglangshan in the Yunyang Basin. Thousands of dinosaur eggs, incredibly well preserved. Thousands.
Wow. Yeah, it's spectacular. And here, they use that super precise laser dating method. We talked about the LAMC, ICP-MS, UPV dating.
Right, the one with the long name.
Yeah. They zapped the eggshells directly, and they got this incredibly precise age, 85.91 million years ago. Give or take about 1.7 million.
Okay, so smack in the late Cretaceous, late Coniacian or early Santonian, the sources said.
Exactly. And this is the first absolute direct date for these particular eggs. We finally have a precise timestamp.
And why is that timestamp so important for climate?
Because that specific time period, the late Cretaceous, wasn't stable. The Earth was actually cooling down significantly then.
Cooling? I thought the age of dinosaurs was super hot.
The mid-Cretaceous was a real hothouse, yes. Polar regions were maybe over 14 degrees Celsius on average. But by this later stage, things were transitioning towards a cooler greenhouse state, a major global shift.
And the eggs reflect this.
The researchers think so. These Qinglangshan eggs, they have really high porosity, lots of pores.
Like we talked about before. Right. And pore patterns are influenced by temperature and humidity. So the idea is maybe this high porosity is a biological response, an adaptation to that cooler, perhaps more humid environment.
A direct link between a tiny detail in an egg and a massive global climate trend.
It seems that way. And this ability to directly date the eggs is revolutionary for understanding these big continental basins, especially in places like China, where you find tons of eggs, but maybe not much volcanic ash for traditional dating.
So it unlocks the timeline for entire regions.
Pretty much. It helps us understand how these global climate changes affected dinosaur populations, their diversity, their ecosystems, on a much finer scale than before. It's like getting a clearer clock for the past.
Okay, so we've seen eggs reveal ecosystems, climate shifts, even body temperature.
Yeah.
But what about how dinosaurs live together, their social lives?
Now that takes us to Patagonia, and arguably one of the most astonishing discoveries in recent years.
This sounds good. For a long time, complex social stuff like herding was thought to be a later dinosaur thing, right?
Yeah, much later. maybe late Cretaceous. But this evidence throws a wrench in that.
So, Patagonia, what did they find?
An incredible site in the Laguna Colorado Formation. They call it a graveyard, but it's more like a snapshot of a community. Over 100 fossil eggs, plus the bones of 80 individuals, juveniles, and adults of Mesaurus patagonicus.
Mesaurus, that's one of the early ones, right? A sauropodomorph.
Exactly, an ancestor of the giant long necks. And not just fragments, they found 20 nearly complete skeletons. Just amazing preservation.
Okay, so lots of fossils.
Yeah.
What makes it so special for social behavior?
Two things mainly. First, the age. They dated volcanic ash layers there to 193 million years ago, early Jurassic.
193 million.
Yeah. Wow. Which makes this the earliest clear evidence of complex social herding in dinosaurs by a whopping 40 million years.
40 million years earlier. That's huge.
It really is. But the most striking thing is how the fossils were arranged. There was clear age segregation.
Clean.
Meaning the eggs and the tiny hatchlings were all found clustered together in one area. A nesting ground, almost certainly communal.
Okay, like a rookery.
Exactly. Then, the slightly older juveniles, they were found grouped together nearby, like a little, well, schools of young dinosaurs.
Huh. Safety in numbers, maybe?
Perhaps. And the adults. They were found scattered, either alone or in pairs, across the site.
So a nesting area, a kids area, and the adults elsewhere. That sounds complex.
It strongly suggests a complex social structure. Communal nesting, maybe adults foraging for the group, possibly shared care of the young, herding behavior, basically.
And this might have helped them survive.
Very likely. This kind of social structure could have given Mesaurus and other early sauropodomorphs a big evolutionary edge, especially helping them get through an extinction event at the end of the previous period, the Triassic, and then really thrive in the early Jurassic.
And how do they all get preserved like that, the whole community?
It seems to have been a mass death event, probably caused by a severe drought. The animals died, many in a resting pose, and were then quickly covered by wind-blown dust.
Which perfectly preserved their positions.
Exactly. It froze that social arrangement in time for us to find 193 million years later.
It just makes you wonder, how do paleontologists piece together behavior like that? It's not just looking at a bone, is it?
Oh, definitely not. It's like paleontological forensics. You're not just identifying the bones, you're looking at where they are in relation to each other.
Spatial arrangement.
Right, how they're grouped, their orientation, the sediment around them. Then you combine that direct evidence with comparative biology. How do similar animals behave today?
Like modern herd animal.
Exactly. And you factor in the paleo environment. What were the pressures? Why might they group like this? It's putting together all the clues, the bones, the patterns, the context to reconstruct these echoes of ancient social life.
It's incredible. So we've gone from bustling ecosystems in Utah to climate change clues in China, body temperatures, and now complex social lives way back in the early Jurassic. All unlocked in large part by studying these tiny eggs.
It's amazing, isn't it? These deep dives into dinosaur eggs are just constantly pushing the boundaries, showing us how much more complex and dynamic the prehistoric world really was.
Truly amazing what we can learn when we, crack open these ancient secrets.
Indeed. And I think what's really exciting is that the study of these eggs, especially with all these new high-tech methods, shows just how much more there probably is to discover.
Still more secrets locked away.
Yeah, definitely. Not just about the dinosaurs themselves, but about the fundamental rules of life, evolution, how creatures adapt to changing environments over vast stretches of time. It makes you wonder, what else might we uncover by looking closely at things we might have previously overlooked? And, what could learning about past adaptations tell us about navigating our own future on this changing planet?
A lot to think about there. Really fascinating stuff.